flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 to lead at the moment.
J2ICS up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the J2ICS Endurance Series, sponsored today by Designers Home Gallery. Big shout out, huge thank you to Designers Home Gallery for being on the schedule for the J2I Endurance Series as the sponsor. Huge thank you. As always, my name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today, 1080p 60 frames a second, as we gear up for the first round of the Endurance Series right here at Sonoma Raceway. And folks, this will be the first time in the J2ICS Endurance Series history that there will be one class racing throughout this season. Last season, we saw both the LMDH as well as the GTE classes racing on track simultaneously. This year, it will only be one singular class, being the GT, I believe the GT3s? Either way, I can't remember if it's the GTEs or the GT3s. Nonetheless, more or less the same, similar type of cars, just a little bit different speeds and similar, or well, different, varying different differences in downforce. With that out of the way, folks, it is great to be back here for the Endurance Series. Last season, we saw some great racing, and with that, we saw Simply Steve come away with the LMDH Championship, Fuzzy Tacos coming away with the GT3 Championship. So yes, GT3s, not GTEs. I don't know where I got the GTE from. Anyway, moving on. Team Speed Squad, comprising of Simply Steve and Eat My Dust, won the LMDH Team Championship last year, or not last year, but last season. Will they be able to pull off something similar here, given that all of these drivers are going to be competing in the same exact car? There's not going to be any sort of, well, I would say class advantage, given that some racers last season only saw about 3, 4, 5 drivers in a class. I don't want to say 3, you typically about 4 to 5 drivers in the class for the LMDH class, so not a whole lot of competition. Here in the GT3s, in this season of the J2I Endurance Series, that has changed rather significantly, and it's going to be more or less a free-for-all, so to speak. But drivers getting those tires warmed up, getting themselves ready to go here for the first race of the day, as we tune into Joshua Spears The number 84 machine finding himself in a little bit of a predicament here. Quickly recovering back down into pit road to get things going here once again. But Dickinson, the number 64 driver, currently holding on to provisional pole, a 125.193 as the time to beat here. And Dickinson going to be a new driver, at least to myself, in the series, so it's great to have a new fresh face, and even more so, more than a fresh face here. We've got a couple that are here today. Dickinson, Tunlow, who we saw, I believe, last week, and you know a who. Love that. That's actually a good play on words. I like that. Nick Terrell coming out of nowhere. I didn't even see him at first, but Nick Terrell coming in from Team Goon Squad and joining the folks here at J2I. I believe Nick might have participated in a race the season prior. I don't exactly recall correctly here, but either way, it's just great to have more drivers coming into the J2I series, the J2I family, and being a part of the great program that they have. And it's just a great time all around for all of the drivers involved. And not only that, this season of the J2I Endurance Series being sponsored by Designers Home Gallery just makes things even better. So for drivers that, may be wanting to improve their not only their racing, but also the floors in their home, for over 2 decades, Designers Home Gallery has been saving the world from ugly floors. For the first time in their company's history, they are now saving the world from ugly racing. If you or someone you know is passionate about racing and wants to improve their skills, it might be worth checking out the services offered by Designers Home Gallery and J2ICS. Remember, no one saves the world from ugly floors and racing quite like Designers Home Gallery. And folks, I gotta tell you, if you are looking at your floors right now and you're wondering to yourself, how can I make things better? How can I improve this and just make it feel more homey? Designers Home Gallery might be the key to what you are looking for, so go ahead and check them on out. It might be just what you need, and it's great to have them on board helping the drivers out here at J2ICS improve not only their floors in their homes, but also their driving. Great to have them on board. A huge shout out and a huge thank you to Designers Home Gallery as we kick off the first race of the J2I Endurance Series. And nearly 7 minutes in to qualifying, Dickinson has been untouchable up until this point, or up to this point. Tunlow 0.2 of a second behind Dickinson at this moment, and Joshua Spears in that third place spot, a 125.6, 0.4 of a second behind Tunlow at this moment. So a big separation in this field that we're seeing at this moment. In Sonoma, I haven't talked much about this at all here. We can actually take a quick look at the weather conditions here at Sonoma, and for California, I would say this is ideal conditions here at Sonoma. 72 degrees Fahrenheit is the ambient temperature, and that is t-shirt weather. I mean, you are rocking out there t-shirt, shorts, maybe sandals, flip-flops, whatever kind of suits your flavor. I'm more of a kind of sneakers guy, or anything but flip-flops or open-toed shoes. I kind of generally avoid those, but whatever your flavor tends to be, it is the perfect weather for it here at Sonoma. 86 degrees Fahrenheit is the track surface temperature. So enough temperature that they can really start to build up the temperature in those tires and get a whole lot of grip throughout this track. But it also can mean that there could be some hot spots around the track where you are not going to be getting as much grip out of the track as you might want, and you could start to see a little bit of that nose, that tail start to wiggle a little bit if you're not too careful. I've just realized as well that we've had the music going this entire time. I do apologize for that. Sam Renner. I was not looking at the YouTube chat for some time, but Sam Renner confirming that it is the GTE class and not the GT3s. All right, so that confirms it for me, and that's where I got the GTE from earlier. So, with that being said, even the drivers that are coming in from last season that ran the GT3 class, they're going to be learning the car a little bit more here as well. Depending on what sort of practice or efforts drivers have put in before the start of this season to learn these cars and to really kind of hone their skills with these cars. But some drivers, and not all drivers, but some drivers are of the mindset that they will just show up to the race, get behind the wheel during the, I believe it's about 3 hours of practice that J2I generously gives before the start of the race, to allow drivers to get in whatever practice they need. And that's on top of the multiple practice sessions, hour-long practice sessions that J2I also host throughout the week before the start of the race. So drivers have plenty of time to be able to get behind the wheel of these cars, get the experience that they need, if they choose to do so. But I have heard plenty of times before, I've seen it plenty of times before, where drivers just show up and send it. And it sometimes works out for them fairly well. But you got to have a whole lot of experience to be able to do something like that. I know I wouldn't be able to. I mean, I'd probably be able to run maybe 10 laps, 15 laps before I start to fall off quite significantly. But either way, it just goes to show the skill of these drivers that are here in this field. Dickinson remains still at the very tippy top of this field. Tunlow trying to dwindle down that time as much as he can, down to 125.199. So he's getting there, but it is just down to the wire between these two. Joshua Spears still out here on track at the moment, the Hooters 84 machine. I love that paint scheme too. It's just a nice color combination. It looks great. But Joshua Spears, 125.674, hasn't been able to improve upon that time yet. His last time around was a 125.91. We'll see here if this Ford is going to be able to do it. Oop, not quite. In Sonoma, not exactly an easy track to navigate around. We're going to ride on board here with Simply Steve, just to kind of give you folks an idea of what I kind of mean when I say it is a sometimes tricky track to navigate. So we have about less than 3 minutes, or about 3 minutes left to go here before the checkered flag is waved. And we see qualifying wrapped up here. This is a tricky portion of the track, the uphill into turn one. You can see that rear end of Simply Steve wanting to get away from him, but he does a great job of fighting it. And all of this up here, these first few turns, is all uphill and just nasty, nasty sand, gravel, whatever, all over the track. It makes for a very interesting and difficult time through the first few turns, especially once we get this thing going green flag. I am almost guaranteeing that we're going to see someone go off the track heading off into the first couple turns here. It's almost guaranteed. If no one does go off track in the first few turns before we get to the downhill section of Sonoma on lap one, I don't even know what I can do here. I mean, I'll chug a water. I don't know. Penny Dickinson in the chat. Big shout out, big thank you. Her son racing in this series, whom unfortunately for Penny, I'm not going to be exactly 100% certain on which drivers are going to be her her son, as well as Josh and Noah, but I will certainly, well, I would assume Noah is you Noah who, and maybe Joshua Spears. That probably would make the most sense, but and Tyler Book, appreciate the vote of confidence. Oh, I'm sorry, Book. I'm sorry. I've been around you guys long enough that I can almost kind of foresee the future a little bit sometimes with these races. But hey, I always love to be pleasantly surprised. Right as I say that, Bob Nova. Okay, so Penny informing me that Josh and you know who are in Sean's team. Okay, perfect. That makes a lot of sense now. And we'll have to blame our lovely race admins for okay, all right. I've been informed. A little bit of information coming in from to the booth here. So Tunlow and Dickinson had a masterful championship battle in the GT class in Season 5, and it was decided with just 4 turns to go on the last lap of the race. So these two drivers, Dickinson, Tunlow, the 64 and the 04 machine, are going to be back out here once again, battling it here. Once again to see who is going to be championship, taking things back down memory lane. So, qualifying now being wrapped up here as the checkered flag is flown, and we get ourselves ready to go for the first time here at Sonoma Raceway. The J2Y Endurance Series back at it once again as we just await for our final qualifying results to be posted, and we get ourselves a starting order, and we can run through that before things are all said and done. It looks like Bob Nova, there he goes, the last driver to find himself down in pit road, and here we go. Our starting grid up on the screen, brought to you by Designers Home Gallery. Up in the front row, Dickinson, Tunlow, Simply Steven, you know who in the second row, Joshua Spears, Captain CK, sitting in that third row. Bob Nova, Marlon Orlando in the fourth row. Void and Nick Terrell in the fifth row. Urko, Eat My Dust taking up the sixth row. Moving on down the grid, Just Dylan, Joe Albanese in the seventh row. Garlic Dog and... oh, wait, nope. I messed this up here. DC Paper Bag in the seventh row. Biker Pilot Prince Adam in the eighth row. Nicolator Mark Darnell in the ninth row. Just Dylan, Joe Albanese in the 10th row. Garlic Dog, Bar South in the 11th row. Book and Crew taking up the 12th row. In the final two rows, Camped and McMurk taking up the 13th row. Nick Beaver and Lamp rounding out the field here today as drivers get themselves lined up on the starting grid. And we await for the lights to go out and for the safety car to make its way for the first time here at Sonoma Raceway for race number 1 of the J2I Endurance Series for season number 7. As always, the action being brought to you live here on Team Goon Squad, and the action being sponsored by Designers Home Gallery. you want to give your home a little bit of a refresher, make those floors look as good as new, check out Designer's Home Gallery and see what they have in store for you, as well as what they can do for you as a driver here in the J2I Endurance Series. As the lights are about to tick away here for the safety car to make its way around the field for a quick pace lap. Dickinson, Simply Steve, Tunlow, you know a who. In the top 2 rows here today, Dickinson, Tunlow, both fighting for a championship in Season 5. Coming back here in season number 7 to rekindle that fight and see just what they can do once again. Here in another excellent season of the J2I Endurance Series with a bountiful field of drivers ready to go, ready to kick off the action here for the first time, and a great field of spectators ready to enjoy the action here as well. So big shout out and thank you to everyone watching at home and enjoying the action. I hope you all are ready to go, as we are just about ready to kick things off. A little bit, we're just about halfway through the track, so I'd say about another 20 to 30 seconds and we are going to be kicking things off. Actually, I take that back. It'll probably be a little more than that. Maybe 45 seconds-ish. Needless to say, we're going to be seeing some exciting action here at Sonoma. I know last season we were here at this track. It was a doozy, and I expect more or less the same here tonight. Safety car makes its way into pit road as they make their way through the final hairpin onto the front straight. Green flag in hand by the flag man, and down it goes. Here we go. The opening lap here at Sonoma. Let's see if my prediction is going to be correct here as we head off into turn 1. See if any drivers are going to find themselves off in the sand here, heading uphill, and oh, Garlic Dog. A little bit of a moment. Very good correction there, and it is a big moment for Prince Adam. Almost loses it out of turn 2. As we come now into the downhill portion, most drivers, actually, majority of the field, making their way nice and cleanly through the downhill section, and now they can kind of breathe a little bit here as they line up single file for the most part. Drivers just finding any bit of room that they can, getting themselves into proper position to make their way through this right-hander. A little bit of a carousel turn. Drivers right now doing a nice job staying calm and steady, keeping things single file stacked up at the moment. A little bit further up ahead we see Marlon Orlando, the number 088 driver, sitting in that 9th place position. Must have touched the sand for just a moment, but still fighting for that 8th place spot as he is just about 0.3 of a second behind Void. The number 25 machine currently is starting to see a bit of separation from himself in the top 7 as Bob Nova and the rest of the field ahead of him. start to get a bit of distance between the rest of the pack. A little bit further back, we've got Nick Beaver, Barsal 22, and a little bit of side-by-side action. Beaver able to make his way on by, no harm, no foul. Now going to be tracking down Book just up ahead, the 056 driver. And who is way back there? Crew and Joe Albanese. Looks like Joe came down pit road for one reason or another. But a couple backliers that are just out here, just turning laps at this moment, but that is definitely going to be a tough situation to be in as a driver. But with an hour and a half to kind of work with here, I don't think it will be too much of an issue, as there's still plenty of racing left. Just a little bit of a rough start. Nick Beaver and Book now going to find themselves in a small battle. Barsal going to close in the distance to Book, but gets a little too close to the rear end. Off into the sand for just a moment. Barsal doing a great job of recovering. Void in the 8th place position. You can see the 25 machine fending off Marlon Orlando. I'm just going to call him Orlando Bloom for the memes. I'm just kidding. But DC also as well in this pack. DC closing in to Marlon by a significant margin as well. He was there about a 1/10 of a second behind him, and Marlon goes way off track here. And he is going to have to take a huge time penalty for that one. Going to have to sacrifice a big amount of time here. Biker Pilot. Oh, man, real close situation here for the 42 machine. Goes off track for a moment. Does a quick recovery. I don't know if he's going to have to sacrifice any time for that one, but that was a close call between himself and the wall. And also other drivers managing their way past him. Nick Beaver staying on the tail of Mark Darnell. Looks to the outside through turn 1. Great job by the number 10 driver, Nick Beaver. Nick Beaver, got to give a shout out here as well. Coming away second place in the Team Goon Squad Cup Series. Just recently ending this past Monday. Nick Beaver showing some great skills behind the Gen 4 Cup Series cars. And coming back here for the J2I Cup Series and making his presence known as always. So Nick Beaver coming off of a very good season, not only from the TGS Cup Series, but as well as from last season. I think Beaver is going to be looking for some good results here throughout the season. Sitting here in that 18th place spot, you might think that it's not quite as good as he might want to have it, but you also got to factor in he's up 9 spots from where he started and only 5 minutes into the race. So I wouldn't exactly put Beaver out of the picture here. He's kind of just going at it at his own pace, and I would not doubt that he will slowly find his way up there, closer to maybe the top 10. I don't know if it'll be any further than that, but we'll keep our eyes open on that as the race progresses. Marlon Orlando, meanwhile, finding himself a bit under fire from Biker Pilot, as Nicolator and Just Dylan also find themselves at a bit of a battle, and these 4 drivers starting to close in the pack. We also have Garlic Dog and Nick Beaver starting to find themselves a little closer to this bunch as well. But meanwhile, while all of this is happening, oh man. Let's take a moment to ride on board here with Nick Beaver as he moves to the inside of Garlic Dog. Going to make that pass up into 17th. Up 10 spots now from where Nick Beaver started here today. Tracking down Marlon Orlando in the 088 Corvette. Just up ahead, we see Biker Pilot in the 42 Audi. I believe that's an Audi. No, it's a BMW. Ah, dang it. Now that I see the rear end of it a little bit more clearly, I don't even know how I thought that was an Audi to begin with. But nonetheless, my lack of car knowledge is not the point here. Biker Pilot, Marlon Orlando, Nick Beaver, all within under a half a second of each other at this moment. The closest battle that we have on the track for 15th place here at the moment, and Biker Pilot just doing a phenomenal job of not letting the pressure get to him or looking out the rear view of the 42 machine at this moment. Just give a little bit of an idea of what he is kind of dealing with. And you'll have to excuse if you can hear the tires a little bit more than the rest of the cars. I think that's a setting that I have to change because it's a sim racing kind of cheat-ish thing, kind of a helpful tool to let you know when you are really scrubbing the tires. Kind of an old school, not necessarily a cheat, but more or less a tip, a trick, however you want to view it. And it is something I forgot to change back, I suppose. Needless to say, the battles that are on the track have not diminished by much here. We're seeing Nick Beaver and Biker Pilot in the battle for 15th at the moment, and Beaver just kind of staying right on the tail of Biker, not necessarily being not being aggressive in any sense of the word, just definitely staying in that slipstream, looking to stay as close as he can and waiting for that opportunity to arise for passing to happen. Here at Sonoma, I would say passing is going to be a little bit easier to maintain, to make manageable, as opposed to the past couple tracks that the last track that we were at, where not quite as simple to make happen here. But here at Sonoma, you can definitely find yourself in a good position to, well, choice is yours. Nick Beaver is looking to make that decision, goes to the inside of Biker Pilot through the hairpin, and up into 15th place goes the number 10 of Nick Beaver. Great move by Beaver, the hard charger of the race, up 12 positions into 15th at this moment, and only 10 minutes into this hour-and-a-half endurance race, as we've got a driver off track. I believe that's McMurk. Someone. Let's take a quick look at the incident here for the 27 Ferrari. Oh, and he just gets a little bit too much on the gas. Out of the hairpin. That's enough to get the rear end kicked out from behind him. And I believe there's one more incident here. Oh, gets into the wall. So more or less kind of compounding issues here for the 27 Ferrari. So he tries to mitigate those as much as possible. I mean, 11 minutes into the race, you know, hopefully you can kind of figure out what's going on, what sort of issue you're having, whether it be with your setup, with your wheel. I mean, there's obviously a ton of different situations that you can run through your head in a matter of moments, but hopefully McMurk will be able to find something to get that pace up there in the 27. Meanwhile, Just Dylan now going to be under fire from Beaver, who's been on a tear. And Nick Beaver slowly but surely making me a Ford guy by the second, as he shows that Ford GTE's power and agility here. I mean, it's also a credit to Beaver's skill as well. I mean, he is just a fantastic driver. We can actually take a look on board here for just a moment, just to kind of show you guys the wheel work of Beaver and kind of how he navigates this track with this car. And obviously, these drivers all have the ability to modify the setup of the car. They can change basically anything they need to about the car to make it drive exactly how they want to. So if they want to go in, they want to change the roll bar a little bit. They want to change the tire pressure. They want to change the brake bias. I mean, usually most of these cars, actually, you can change the brake bias on the fly from the wheel. You don't even have to go into the pits to do that, but there are certain things that, you know, if you're not happy with a certain setting, and I'm not a tuner in any sense of the word, so I have no idea what I'm doing when I open up that garage setting in iRacing. Your guess is as good as mine, if not better. So, with that being said, if these drivers are doing something like that, they are... I mean, it's kind of a roll of the dice a little bit. If you know what you're doing, you probably are pretty comfortable with whatever it is you're changing. But if you're not, again, roll of the dice. You're kind of at the casino at that point. Nick Beaver, however, while I was rambling, makes the move past Nicolator up into 13th. I mean, he is just flying through this field right now. And I'm going to take back what I said about him not being able to get up, or, well, I don't want to say not being able to. I want to say I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make his way to the top 10. He made me eat my words. I mean, he's already right up to Nick Terrell, the driver from Team Goon Squad here in the 81 Corvette. Now going to find himself under fire from Nick Beaver, and potentially going to see himself in that 13th place position as Beaver is closing the distance and then some. I think Beaver is ultimately, I mean, he is just, he's got something dialed in here with himself and that Ford GTE. Just absolutely on a tear here, looking incredible at the moment. And you got to give a shout out to Squilliam here as well, to his teammate and his brother, Prince Adam, for Team The Woomates, as, if I can find Prince, where's he at? There he is. Prince Adam for Team The Woomates. His brother, Squilliam, not able to be here tonight due to a wrist injury. So hopefully Squilliam can make a quick recovery and is able to be back here for the next endurance race, as well as for next week for the Sprint Series. I'd love to see that guy out on the track, and hopefully I'm sure Prince Adam is itching to have Squill back on the track as well, as he's currently a lone fighter out here in the 777 BMW, finding himself in that 22nd place spot at the moment. With a little bit of distance between himself and Book, he's currently got the pace to be able to catch up to Book. But I think he's going to definitely be hoping for things to kind of improve for himself once we get a little bit closer to, I would imagine pit stops are going to be a thing with an hour and a half. I don't think these cars can quite make a full hour and a half realistically. I think it's about 45 minutes, 50 minutes for a stint in these cars. I can't remember exactly. I know it's pretty close to an hour, maybe a little over an hour, depending on the track and so on and so forth, but I don't think it's going to be a one and done kind of race here for these drivers. So pit stops are going to be a thing, and look at this pack of drivers that has developed here. Nick Beaver getting into the side of Paper Bag. as Nicolator, Just Dylan, and Biker Pilot all start to close in on one another here, forming a very solid pack. About 18 minutes into the race here, so still a long bit to go, and Nick Beaver just climbing his way up the ladder to the inside of the number 8 Porsche of Paper Bag, moves on up to the 12th place spot, only 2 positions away from the top 10. Nick Terrell going to be his next target, followed by Eat My Dust in the 10th place position. Eat My Dust going to be the longest target for Nick Beaver, currently sitting about 6 seconds ahead of the number 10 driver. Okay, so Urko coming in the chat. Fuel is limited to 48% capacity. I should have read the details to all of this beforehand, but for some reason I didn't. And it's about 28 to 30 minutes per stint, so that makes perfect sense. So it will actually be about a 2-stop race. And that could potentially mean that some drivers here are maybe kind of stashing up the sleeve some varying strategies as far as pit stops are concerned. As Nick Terrell looks to fend off Beaver. And Nick Terrell, this is the first time I think I've got to see Terrell out here with the J2I folks, but I will say Terrell is a very experienced driver over with Team Goon Squad, has raced plenty of times in various in-house series with Team Goon Squad, as well as various other series that we've broadcasted for. A very solid driver, and it's great to see him out here showing his talents here with the J2I folks. And Beaver is, man, oh man, Terrell is trying to keep it up as best as he can, but Beaver is just on a whole other level here. Honestly, Beaver's kind of out here looking like Max Verstappen coming from the tail end of the field after a penalty or something like that. I mean, Beaver's just on a mission, and I love to see it. We haven't covered these two drivers here in quite some time, though. They have been in their own little groove for a little while, but have started to develop a bit of a battle here in the lead. Dickinson and Tunlow, the 64 and the 04 machine, previously fighting for a championship in Season 5. Now fighting here once again for the lead here in race number 1 of Season 7 for the J2I Endurance Series. Making a bit of a comeback here for these two drivers and showing up big here, as these two drivers have nearly a little over 7 seconds between themselves and third place driver Simply Steve. So that gives you any idea of what the pace is like for these two drivers. It is just lightning speed. And one cool thing we can kind of take a look at here. Let's see if this is going to do what I want it to the first time. Of course it doesn't. Okay. All right, so we can kind of take a look at the differing pace of these two drivers in the different sectors around this track, just to kind of get an idea of what these two are setting for each of the different sectors. So you can see on the bottom of your screen, we don't have a way, unfortunately, to show you what sectors are which on screen, but more or less you can kind of get an idea of how fast these guys are going through the individual portions of this track. So here we go, Sector 1, basically turn 1 and 2. Dickinson just barely faster than Tunlow. Not even a full tenth, not even a half a tenth of a second, but still manages to come away with just a little bit more pace. Second sector, essentially turns 3 and 4, maybe even 5. Tunlo able to come away a little bit quicker that time around. And continues to improve that pace here as well through the next sector. And let's see if he's able to capitalize on that pace here. Timing and scoring showing that he is currently a little slower. But that is not the case. He's able to come away. And Tunlo able to come it in, bring it into the inside. A great move by Tunlo, the 04 machine, into the hairpin with the move to the inside. Takes the lead here 23 minutes into the race. A fantastic move by Tunlo, and that just shows you, folks, patience is key. Absolutely phenomenal. That came out of nowhere, folks. I didn't even expect that to happen, but Tunlo was prepared, locked and loaded. Great execution. We got to look at that one more time because that was phenomenal. If I can find it here. So here it is one more time. Tunlo through the hairpin. Absolutely beautiful as Dickinson goes a little bit too wide. And Tunlo is just right there and ready. Wow. I can see why these two were so exciting to watch 2 seasons ago, because these guys are just on fire. You can see Dickinson, he is right there on the tail of Tunlo, trying to bring it back to him. And I can tell you right now, Dickinson is not going to let that one go easy, but we're going to check back in a little bit further in the tail of the field, or in the mid-pack. Here as we're watching Paper Bag, Nicolator, Just Dylan, Garlic Dog, and Biker Pilot, as well as Marlon Orlando, kind of trailing a little bit further back, but still in the mix of things, as these drivers all form a single file line, and things could get hot here real quickly for Just Dylan as he sees that rear end start to get real scary. Gonna lose a spot to Garlic Dog as he goes wide through the hairpin. Nose to tail between Garlic Dog, Just Dylan, and Biker Pilot. And it's trouble for Paper Bag. He is sideways, the Porsche number 8. Off in the dirt here in turn number 1, having to recover. His teammate gonna join alongside him, Barsal 22. Getting closer to the end of these driver stints, and this is where the action starts to get real interesting. Just checking back in with our leaders here for a moment, and Dickinson, Tunlo, they're going to keep duking it out here for quite some time, but as we are about, I would say, well, 4 minutes until we are at that predicted limit here for fuel, as drivers are only allocated 48% of their full fuel capacity. So unless these guys are on just an alien level of fuel saving, I would expect that they're going to be coming in here in the next 3 to 4 laps. And that will have some big changes here for the field as far as battles are concerned. Marlon Orlando tracking behind Biker Pilot just dips into the sand for a second. And you can see that rear end just automatically wanting to spin out from behind him. and does a great job of avoiding it. Dickinson makes the decision to come down into pit road right now. The 64 machine going for a little bit of a, well, not necessarily super early. Again, from what Eric was telling us in chat, about 28 to 30 minutes per stint. So he's pretty much right on the money, all things considered. So this will set him up for a good exit, as well as a, well, pretty much puts himself back into the lead once things are all said and done. But now it's going to be a matter of the next pit strategy. Is Tunlo going to repeat what Dickinson is doing here to take back the lead? Or, I mean, it's all, there's, I can't do math very well, but I can tell you there's a large number of possible options of outcomes that could happen here, and I'm excited for all of them. Garlic Dog, Just Dylan in a little bit of a battle here, as we're seeing a slow trickle of drivers come down through pit road. We've seen Captain CK, Joshua Spears already make their way down through the pits. You can see that happening there on the bottom of your screen as well. Nick Beaver, meanwhile, he's managed to work his way up the field a little bit, as we've seen some drivers cycle their way through the pits, but Beaver's also going to be looking to come down into pit road here as well. I am very curious to see what, I mean, I honestly, I wish there was a way that we could see the tire in a, well, as close to a realistic way as possible, to see just how worn the tire is and all the marbles that have formed around it and all that sort of nonsense. It just would be interesting to see. Eat My Dust comes down into pit road just behind Nick Beaver, so he's going to take that cue to make his way down to pit road. I think Nick Beaver here, now that he's moved his way up into the 6th place position, now 2nd place as he's come across the line and past pit road, I think this will be the decision here from Beaver to now make that move down into the pits, grab a fresh set of tires, stock up on fuel. I mean, actually, realistically, they don't even need tires, if I recall correctly. They could just fill up on fuel and just go right back out on the track. But I'm more than certain that most drivers here are going to take another set just for the pace. So while pit stops have kind of cycled out here for the most part, I'm going to take a quick moment here to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the action. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep the action on your screens here for just a moment, and we'll be back with the live commentary here in just a few moments. Alrighty, folks. As we are a third of the way into today's race here at Sonoma Raceway, I'd like to take this moment to give a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor, Designers Home Gallery, for this excellent pass by Nicolator to the inside of Garlic Dog. Fighting as much as he can, Nicolator gonna take that 16th place position. A phenomenal move here by the number 5 Ferrari. Garlic Dog trying to mitigate it, find some kind of response. Not going to be able to do so this time around, but pit cycles have been completed here for our first round of pit stops. And with that being completed here, that also has spread out the field just a little bit. We can kind of take a look at that spread here on the bottom right-hand side of your screens, and you can see just where your favorite driver currently sits, or at least as close as you can. And some drivers might be overlapped a little bit, but needless to say, we can see the distance that has been set by this field now after pit stops have cycled their way through. So, in this sort of situation, a lot of drivers are going to purely be focused on just staying consistent, keeping that pace up, not worrying too much on the driver ahead of you or even battles going on around you. Well, there's not any battles, but essentially just keep your head down, keep turning laps. Garlic Dog going to look to try and take back that 16th place spot as best as he can. Paper Bag. Oh boy, Mark Darnell and Paper Bag. Big moment between these two. Let's see exactly how this one unfolded. Oh, goes into the sand, and it gets right into the rear end of Mark Darnell. Both fighting tooth and nail, and honestly, I mean, I think both of them kind of, both of them probably knew that was going to happen at some point. It was just a matter of when. Obviously, we didn't get to see too much of the action leading up to it, but I am more than certain that it is some good action all the way through, as we're getting to see that happen now. Biker Pilot, Mark Darnell, Garlic Dog, Nicolator forming a single file groove here. Riding on the nose camera here of Garlic Dog, the 199 machine. For just a moment there, at least, as he looks to the inside of Nicolator, the number 5 Ferrari, stays out to the outside, keeping that momentum up. Holds on to the 15th place spot. Biker Pilot now starting to close in the action here. So we'll ride on board here for just a moment with Biker Pilot, just to get an idea. You can see the dashboard on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, seeing just how fast he's going, what gear he's in. Lock up here from Garlic Dog. That's going to put him down into the 19th place spot. You know who, Marlon Orlando, move up a couple spots here. You know who into the 17th place spot. Marlon into 18th now. And you know who has some great pace here at the moment. He is looking to track down Biker Pilot, and from what I can tell at the moment, he's got the pace to be able to do so. It's just a matter of, again, like I mentioned a few moments ago, just keeping your head down, focusing in on those laps, and staying consistent. So Garlic Dog going to come down into pit road. I would imagine due to some damage or something along those lines. We can't exactly get a great camera angle, but we got a great camera angle of him missing his pit box. But moving on. Garlic Dog going to try and get some issues banged out there in pit road. The 199 Corvette sitting in that 21st place spot. Hopefully doesn't find himself down there for too long. And it looks like he only had to serve a drive-through. Might have had a penalty of some kind. Book the 056 Corvette looking to track down Paper Bag here. She screams into the hairpin, looks into that inside, doesn't quite have the pace to make it work this time around, but he is about a half a second behind that number 8 Porsche at the moment, and if he keeps this up, he should be able to track him down here. They are about equivalent in pace, but can he find a sector or two to keep bringing that gap down? And you know who, Biker Pilot now going to be in trouble here by the number 7 Ford, as Noah has found some pace here in the kind of the middle half of this race. It almost seems like he's kind of gotten into a groove now that he's gotten comfortable. And I know that's pretty common with a lot of drivers that, you know, you get into the race and it takes you a little bit to kind of really get up to your true pace. And that's, I can't remember who said it, but there was someone who said it, that there are two different type of drivers. There's the drivers that go full out right at the very first lap, 100%, 110%, whatever you want to call it. And then there are the drivers that kind of ease into it throughout the race. And I think the later half is, in most cases, sometimes, a better resulting kind of driver in these particular races for endurance racing. There's less chance for error in the opening laps when you're not going all out right out of the gate. You can kind of give yourself a little bit of room to work with leading up to the rest of the race, if you will. It's a little tough to explain. It kind of varies depending on the driver, but I found when I'm racing that if I'm going all out right on the opening lap, it's not going to end well for me. So I kind of have to dial things back. And I don't know if this is what Noah is doing here. I don't think it is, but I think it's great to see that he's found this pace here, pretty much right smack dab in the middle of all of this. In the length of this race, pretty much right in the middle of it is where he has dialed things in, and right now he is on pace to be able to track down Eat My Dust all the way up there in 9th, and he's got plenty of time to be able to do so, but it is a tall order nonetheless. Oh, Book goes all little wide. Off into the sand, and a big lockup here from Paper Bag. That's going to cost him potentially 2 spots here as Noah looks to the inside of the number 8 Porsche. Going to fall in line here as they come across the line heading into turn 1. Nicolator in the hot seat for the 13th place spot as he has got a train of drivers behind him, all gunning for his position at the moment. We can get a look out the rear view of the number 5 Ferrari. Today's racing action brought to you by Designers Home Gallery. For over 2 decades, Designers Home Gallery has been saving the world from ugly floors. For the first time in their company's history, they are now saving the world from ugly racing. If you or someone you know is passionate about racing and wants to improve their skills, it might be worth checking out the services offered by Designers Home Gallery and J2ICS. Remember, no one saves the world from ugly floors in racing quite like Designers Home Gallery. Big shout out, big thank you to Designers Home Gallery for being the sponsor for the J2I Endurance Series. It's a great, great pleasure to have them on board for this season and hopefully get to see some new floors installed for either some of our fans or a driver. Whoever it might be, I hope Designers Home Gallery can help you find exactly what you need to fit your home and to make it feel even better than ever. Prince Adam here trying to find himself some action with Joe Albanese, a.k.a. Long Island Nerd. As these two duke it out for that 19th place position. Oh, Long Island Nerd, Prince Adam, they're going to keep duking it out here. But one thing I do want to point out and mention is that Dickinson taking that, cutting myself off here. Prince Adam looks to the inside of Long Island Nerd. Almost makes it work, but Long Island doing a phenomenal job keeping the pace up. And I gotta say, I'm kind of digging the paint scheme here on Joe's car here. That, that looks sick. I like that. I don't know what it is about it, but it looks sick. I love it. Prince Adam, meanwhile, makes the move to the inside, up into 19th place. The 777 machine looking phenomenal out here at the moment and on a mission here. Definitely looking to improve that pace as best as he can, sitting in that 19th place position and now sitting under 45 minutes past the halfway. Or let me rephrase that so it makes sense. Now past the halfway mark in today's race. Going to be looking to try and capitalize as best as he can here. Who also looking to capitalize. He's right behind Nicolator, the number 5 Ferrari, who has continued to stay defensive here to hold on to that 13th place position. The action heating up here in the midfield as You Know A Who moves up into 13th place here. Phenomenal work here from the number 7 Ford, who currently sits down 9 spots from where he started tonight, but has shown not the slightest ounce of giving up here and is doing a great job of making that pace up here at the moment. Slowing down a little bit from that initial pace that I was talking about a little bit ago, showing that he was on par to get tracked down, Eat My Dust. Kind of showing a little bit different pace here as we see... No, that was a Porsche. Who was that? Who was that? That was a Bar South. Who is the next? That's Tunlow? Holy cow. Okay, I've been a little behind here apparently because these guys have apparently lapped the bottom 13. Or not the bottom 13, but okay, I didn't even realize they had gotten that far past the rest of the field, but Dickinson and Tunlow just on a whole different world here. I can't even... I'm just blown away by the pace of these two drivers. It's great to have these guys back in the J2I Endurance Series racing here once again and just blowing away the rest of the field, it seems like. They are just on a whole different level. Just to give you folks an idea, okay? Excuse me. So, Dickinson and Tunlow, their last lap was a 126.46. And just to put things into perspective here, the drivers that I'm about to mention all came in on basically the same lap for pit stops. Okay, so Dickinson, Tunlow, a 126.4. The next driver in third place, Simply Steve, was almost a full second slower. 120... No, okay, not a full second. I take that back. 4/10 slower. 125.75. I don't know why I read that so incorrectly. Oh, that's why, because I'm reading the wrong number. A 127.26. I was almost there. So, these guys are almost a full second faster than the next fastest driver in third place. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. That kind of pace is not easy to come by. I cannot stress to you folks how difficult it is to be that fast. Unreal. Unreal. Joshua Spears and Captain CK now going to be in a bit of a duke out here for the fourth place position. Spears finding himself just a little over a half a second behind Captain CK, kind of fluctuating a little bit here as they navigate through the different sectors. But also, as we are just under 10 minutes before we start to see the drivers make their way back down into pit road and grab their next and final set of tires and fuel, as we see a battle between Biker Pilot, Paper Bag, side by side, door to door. Paper Bag, the number 8 Porsche, makes its way on through up into 16th. Great pass by the number 8 of Paper Bag, doing a phenomenal job here. And you know, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that Paper hasn't fully embraced his name and, you know, just changed his car into a Paper Bag. That honestly would like a brown Paper Bag. Legendary. I don't know how else that would describe it. It would just be a legendary paint scheme. Maybe he could do that for like a Halloween type thing. That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, moving on. Biker Pilot Mark Darnell. I think that was Mark Darnell. That is not Mark Darnell. Who is that? Can I see your number, please? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Oh, is that paperback? No. No, come on, paper. Oh! Who was that? Who was that? That was Eat My Dust, the 24. Was it? No, it wasn't. It was his teammate, though. It was Simply Steve. Oh, no. In paper bag. Yeah, I mean, kind of a reasonable response here from paper bag. That definitely set him back quite a bit. He takes it back to pit road. He's putting that car back in the trailer. That is, wow. Wow. My heart goes out to paper. That is a tough break. Doing so well, and to be hit from the rear by the leader, or, well, lead lap drivers, definitely not the best feeling in the world. And I know Simply Steve definitely did not intend for that to happen. I know that was an accident, and I'm sure Simply is going to be spewing his apologies for that one. But it's a tough break. Wow. Nick Beaver, meanwhile, into that 6th place position. The hard charger, I mean, up 21 spots from where he started here tonight. Nick Beaver just crushing this field at this moment. I think if anyone has a chance of tracking down our leaders, it's going to be Beaver. But even then, Tunlow and Dickinson are just, their pace is unmatchable right now. I don't think there is a single driver on this track that has the pace to catch up to Tunlow or Dickinson here. According to timing and scoring, there is not a single driver out here that is even coming close to these guys' pace. Now, just to put that into perspective, Nick Beaver, the last time he came, actually I can pull this up for you guys here on the left-hand side of your screens. So, the last lap for Dickinson and Tunlow, take a look. 126.45 for Dickinson, 126.52 for Tunlow. Simply Steve, 126.9. Captain CK, 126.7. Beaver, a 127.1. I mean, guys, it is just phenomenal, the pace of these two drivers. And that's not discrediting any of the other drivers out here in the field, because they're doing fantastic. I mean, I don't even think I can do a 129 here with these drivers. I mean, I would be trying my darndest, but it's not easy, folks, let me tell you. Dickinson, as we're ranting and raving here, is going to come down into pit road here for the last time and get himself ready for his final stint here at Sonoma. Tunlow going to take that lead back. But, you know, that's kind of the one question I was wondering about a little bit earlier, is whether or not Tunlow was going to kind of switch up his strategy here, knowing that Dickinson came in a little bit earlier to perhaps put himself in a better position to stay in the lead or even have a chance to fight for the lead. But that decision might have been changed here for Tunlow, as he's going to stay out one more lap. Maybe he wasn't even expecting Dickinson to come in. Whatever the strategy might be here for Tunlow, both of these drivers are just performing incredibly well. So as we see drivers diving their way down through pit road, Simply Steve going to be your leader for the time being. Nick Beaver up into that second place position. Bob Nova into that third place position. I don't even think we've mentioned Bob Nova here much at all throughout this race here. So we got to give a shout out and mention to Bob Nova, the 605, up here into that third place spot at the moment. Kind of been a very quiet driver in this year in today's race. I don't think he's been in too many battles at all here tonight. It seems like he's kind of been in his own little groove. And hey, you know what? That's not always the worst case scenario, but I will say in an hour and a half long race, it could get a little lonely out there. So I'm sure that Bob is probably hoping to see himself fighting with another driver here before too long, at least before the end of the race. But great to see Bob out here sitting in that third place position and hopefully going to continue to stay within the top 10 once pit cycles are all said and done here. Simply Steve now making his way down into pit road. And Nick Beaver, I was wondering if he was going to come down into the pits this time around, but he's going to take it one more lap around. At least one more lap. But again, Nick Beaver, the hard charger of the race, just showing an absolutely incredible amount of determination and pace here from the very, very beginning, starting all the way in 27th. And now, once pit cycles are over with, I think he could find himself, I'm going to have to say, I'm going to guess about 9th? 8th or 9th place, somewhere in that neighborhood. Maybe 10th. We'll have to wait and see, but that is going to be my guess for now. And either way, starting all the way in 27th and finishing even in the top 10 is going to be an incredible feat for any driver. And Prince Adam flashing the lights to Mark Darnell ahead of him. Yeah, Prince Adam definitely has a little bit more pace here, and Darnell going to go a little wide there to let him on by. We can also see it's either Joshua Spears, that is Joshua, the number 84 Ford, sitting in 9th place at the moment, just trying to navigate his way through traffic as he's going to be on his final stint, makes his way past. Good clean work there from Joshua Spears as he's in that top 10, looking to come away with a top 10 finish here, if not more. With less than 30 minutes left to go, the possibility is there. Just got to keep your head down and stay consistent. So checking in with Nick Beaver here, the hard charger of the race, making his way out of pit road, and he's going to come out at the 5th place position. Bob Nova quickly closing in on the tail of him, but for Nick Beaver, I would say this is more than an ideal spot to be in at this point in time. You know who? No! Right as we tuned to him, he was having a battle with Nicolator, quickly recovering from it, having to take a detour through the sand. Let's take a look at how this one developed here. Watching the white and orange Ford as he goes to the inside. Gets a little too close, and I think he was just a little too fast through there and wasn't able to slow it down enough, and ultimately, oh no, it just compiles. Noah, the 7 Ford machine. Oh no. And he's going to be on relatively fresh tires here as well, so I got to wonder if maybe he just didn't get him up to temperature enough. He was trying to push maybe a little too much, or maybe even it's the track temperature. Let's take a look and see what track conditions are currently looking like. No. So it's actually the track temperature has gone down. So that means, folks, that it's going to take drivers longer to build up that temperature in those tires and maintain that temperature. So while 78 degrees on the track isn't exactly, it's not cold, but it will take them just a little bit longer to get that temperature up, and that could potentially be the reason for Noah's kind of trials and tribulations here in the very late half of this race. But now the field is at the point now where they have enough distance between each other that it's all down to just focusing on your own laps and staying consistent here. The closest battle that we currently have, I won't even say battle, the closest drivers that we have on the field right now are going to be at most about 3 seconds. It looks like, well, right as I say that, Mark Darnell and Garlic Dog can actually close in on one another, as some way, somehow, seemed like one of them came out of the pits or something, but oh no, Mark Darnell, big trouble here, goes off into the sand for a moment. That's going to slow him down. Garlic Dog going to capitalize on that opportunity as best as he can. 0.2 of a second between these two drivers as they continue to fight. Just Dylan and Book starting to form their own bit of a battle here, and we're going to take a moment to, ride on board here with Just Dylan. And let's take a moment to just enjoy some sights and sounds here at Sonoma while things are relatively quiet, and this is the closest battle we have on the track, so let's see the action from just Dylan's perspective and just enjoy the sights and sounds here at Sonoma. Dylan just sending it. I mean, he is just on a tear here, folks. It was incredible just watching him just push as best as he can to book and up a little bit further ahead. We're starting to see some of these battles close in a little bit as we wind down the clock. Less than 20 minutes left to go. Nicolator trying to get some speed here on Bar South 22. A little bit further up ahead as well, the battle for 4th place. A little bit further up ahead in position, just a little further behind on the track. Excuse me. And I'm not laughing at the battle. I'm just laughing at the Love Seat test livery. That is I hope they keep that throughout the season. That's just, I love that. Captain CK, Nick Beaver, the two teammates fighting it out here for the 4th place position and making things exciting for each other here as Beaver, the hard charger of the race, has found it a long, hard-fought battle to get up here. Makes the move around his teammate through the inside of the hairpin and up into 4th place here. Beaver getting the headlights from his teammate behind. A good move by the number 10 driver of Nick Beaver. The hard charger up 23 positions into 4th place. Started in 27th and looking to finish in the top 3 if he can do so. 11 seconds to the 3rd place driver of Simply Steve. It is going to be a very, very tough. Oh boy. Bar South 22 finding himself off track here for a moment. But as I was mentioning, Nick Beaver going to have a tough time to get himself up into the top 3. And showing that timing and scoring not in his favor as far as pace is concerned. But either way, I would be happy with a top 5 finish considering where he started here tonight. So I don't think Beaver's going to be dissatisfied, and I don't think his teammate will be either. Book and Just Dylan looking to fight it out here for the 13th place spot. About 15 minutes left to go here. Winding that clock down here, folks. Garlic Dog and Mark Darnell showing themselves involved in a bit of an incident here. Let's see what exactly that incident was. Oh, boy. Garlic Dog into the inside, and a big tap here to the rear end of Darnell. Darnell luckily able to get that 83 Porsche stopped, but he's going to take it down into pit road, and I think he might call it here. And there he does, the 83 machine retiring from the race. Lap 52, an hour and 15 minutes into the race. Tough way to end it. And like Penny said in the chat, it's the Sean and Tunlo show. And I couldn't agree more. Dickinson, Tunlo just dominating the field here tonight. Less than 15 minutes left to go, and not a worry in sight for either driver at the moment. A great way to show back up here in Season 7 after coming away with a phenomenal battle in Season 5. Tunlo coming away with a victory for the championship in Season 5. Bringing it back here in Season 7 to rekindle that action here once again. And so far, I would say it's off to a phenomenal start. Action developing here between Barsal 22, Book, and Just Dylan. Once again, battle for 12th place. Here with less than 15 minutes left to go, these drivers looking to get a little bit of action here before things are all said and done. Just Dylan getting right up to the tail of the 056 of Book. It looks like we've got it looked like a lap driver trying to make his way through. I might have been mistaken there. But while we had this moment, I'll give another shout out to our sponsor, Designers Home Gallery, for being the season sponsor here for the J2Y Endurance Series. Big shout out, a big thank you for having them on board. It makes things a lot more exciting when we have interest from other companies and other entities that want to show interest in the sim racing world and be a part of it, and really just show their support in any way they can, and we are genuinely appreciative of it. So big shout out, big thank you to Designers Home Gallery for being a part of Season 7 for the J2Y Endurance Series. And folks, if you want to show some support as well to our sponsor, and if you are looking at giving your home a little bit of a refresher, check out Designers Home Gallery and see what they can do to help you improve the look and feel of your home. and just make it feel even better than before. Great battle between Barstow 22, Book, and Just Dylan. It has been developed here for quite some time, but they are reeling in the action here, just slowly dialing it in with 10 minutes left to go. Barstow 22 absolutely trying to find some room here. As the front nose camera doesn't quite look too fantastic there. We'll ride on board here with Barstow 22 as he's got Just Dylan lingering to his outside here. We'll actually take a moment to ride on board here with Just Dylan as he seems to be looking for a line here to make his way past Barstow. A little wide here into the gravel, into the sand, excuse me. Definitely pushing the track limits here for the 21 driver, but looks to the inside. Not quite going to be able to have enough room this time by, but has the right idea as the Texan looks to try and surpass the 75 machine of Barstow 22. And there it is. Just Dylan. Patience is key. The 21 BMW now up into 13th. And a little bit of clean air ahead of him to work with as Book is enjoying similar air and just putting his head down and focusing on clicking off these last few laps. Camped going off track here for a moment. The 6.9 Corvette quickly recovering and doing a great job of doing so as well. Definitely a scary situation to be in the last few minutes of a race. Finding yourself off track, even in the slightest, can definitely make the knuckles go a little whiter than they normally do. Just Dylan and Book closing in the action on one another here. With almost 5 minutes left to go, the battle for 12th place, the hottest battle that we have on the track at the moment, as the field has given themselves a lot of room to work with between one another. Oh, a little bit of a lockup there from Book. That's going to allow Just Dylan to get to the inside. The 21 BMW tries to keep the pace up a little too wide there, a little close to the edge of the track. Going to have to back off this time around, but isn't going to have too many opportunities left to make this pass happen here. Dylan's going to have to focus up and commit. But Eve, as we were watching the battle between Bar South and Just Dylan, in classic Dickinson and Tunlow fashion, it seems like, with less than 5 minutes left to go, the gap between these two is now under a half a second. Tunlow currently has the pace over the 64 Ford machine. Will Tunlow be able to repeat his championship race just 2 seasons ago with 4 minutes left to go here at Sonoma, round number 1 of the J2Y Endurance Series? Dickinson making the last-minute pit stop. What in the... what? So maybe I was wrong earlier when I said that drivers were making their final pit stops. Maybe that there was a chance for one more pit stop to be made, or perhaps Dickinson maybe miscalculated and has to take a third stop. I'm utterly baffled right now, folks. We are 60 laps in. Dickinson back out onto the pits. Maybe it was fuel. Maybe it was fuel. He was only in there for not even 5 seconds. Maybe he was out of fuel. Oh, no, Sean. Holy cow. I'm just astonished. I am astonished right now. So, folks, just to show you, it doesn't show his most recent. Okay, so Tunlow's coming in too. Okay, so yeah, I think I was correct. I think these drivers were supposed to make 3 stops, because we've got some drivers already who have came in on lap 54. One other driver, actually. Joshua Spears, the number 84 Ford, currently sitting in that 9th place position. So maybe they were just running a very ragged edge kind of setup. Well, not setup, but racing line. I'm honestly just baffled. Tunlow coming out of pit road, and he's going to come out right behind Dickinson. And we're going to see here if Simply Steve's going to have to come down into... I mean, there's a 1.5 minutes left. What in the world just happened here? We are going to find out once we get to post-race interviews, but this is just... I am so utterly confused. Well, I guess I shouldn't be, because... Ah, man, this is... Wow. I have so many questions and not enough answers. 1 minute left. They are a little over halfway through the track here, so by the time they come across the checkered line, they should have enough time to make one more lap. And Simply Steve off track, the number 1 machine, having an opportunity to come away with the win here tonight, goes off into the tire wall, having to make a quick recovery, but now falling back into the 4th place spot as Nick Beaver, an unexpected entry into the top 3 with now 20 seconds left to go in the race here. They're going to come across the line. The white flag is going to be waved, and this is the last chance to dance. Dickinson, Tunlow, less than 0.2 of a second separating these two drivers. The 04 Porsche machine looks onto the outside, trying to stay as close as he possibly can here. Dickinson, a massive amount of defense being put up here by the 64 Ford machine. Tunlow, the Season 5 champion, finding himself in the same exact situation he was in just 2 seasons ago for the championship round. Here for race number 1 at Sonoma, goes to the outside. Not going to have the pace to make it stick, but a great move by the 04 of Tunlow. Dickinson keeping it up here. And just a few turns left to go. Will Tunlow send it to the inside through the hairpin? Will Dickinson be able to keep it closed out here? 1 turn left to go. Here we go. Dickinson to the inside. Tunlow goes out. And Tunlow gonna be a little bit too wide to make it stick. Dickinson now just has to take it a few more feet across the line for the win here at Sonoma. Race number 1 of the J2Y Endurance Series coming down to 0.3 of a second. Tunlow doing a phenomenal job coming away into that 2nd place spot. And Nick Beaver, a huge, huge comeback here for the number 10 machine, starting in 27th, finishing in 3rd. Great job by this entire field. Just Dylan and Book going to have their own bit of a battle coming out of the final turn and across the line, separated by also 0.3 of a second. My, oh my, folks. Wow. So as we await for our post-race results, I cannot believe the battle that we just had for the lead. I mean, like I said, folks, it was almost... I didn't see it personally myself 2 seasons ago, but I feel like we just got to rewatch it. Absolutely incredible. So as the remaining drivers make their way across the checkered line here, and we get our post-race results, we're going to get ourselves ready for post-race interviews here as well. You can take a look at the post-race results on your screen. We are going to get ourselves ready for the first round of interviews. First driver that we're going to have up in the booth here today, yes, will be Beaver. Coming away in 3rd place here today. Beaver, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on a podium finish. Beaver, I mean, you had a great race here today. You started off in that 27th place spot and coming away in a podium finish. I mean, dude, like, how did you get the NOS bottle through inspection? I mean, how like, what'd you do?
I do not know. I had no... So, 1, I had no plans to be here tonight, so this is a fantastic surprise, even for me. But 2... It almost kind of worked in my favor to start in the back. So I started the race on a very low or high, like an unperforming the fuel thing. What's it called? The strat. I can
Fuel
look
strategy.
At it. But anyway, the engine map. That's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I started at a 8 engine map just because I knew running in traffic, there's no point in using the full power if you don't need it. So I started with that, and get to the first pit stops, and okay, this might be a 2-stop race. And I just went with that strategy the whole time. I think I ran engine map 6 for most of it. A lot of that was down to pit strategy, and I don't think I would have been in the same position had I started any further forward, and burned more fuel right away. It would have been a 3-stop race. So, whoa! I am pumped. I am so excited.
Dude, I would be too. I mean, just watching you climb through the field was just incredible. I mean, you were on fire here tonight, and not only that, but just watching the pace of Dickinson and Tunlow as well. It seemed like they were untouchable, but the longer the race went on, I was honestly rooting for you to slowly catch up to them, but obviously those two guys were they were in their own area code as far as the rest of the field is concerned. But for yourself, I mean, and for your Team Love Seat, you guys did phenomenal here tonight. I mean, starting 27th and just crushing your way through the field, and not only that, but it's at a track that's notoriously difficult. I would say this is pretty well akin to somewhat, not quite the same, but pretty similar to like Laguna Seca in a similar sense. But yeah, great way to finish out your race here tonight, Beaver. And what kind of confidence does that give you going forward into the next endurance race? I'm not sure where we head to next after this one. It looks like we're going to speaking of the devil, we're going to Laguna. So yeah. what kind of confidence does that give you going to Laguna?
Well, I'm sure other people will keep notes if they watch this back and listen to what I have to say, but I think the fuel strategy is going to make a huge impact. You can push the whole time, but it does go to show that if you save a little bit, it might help at the back end. It's hard to think an hour and a half in advance, right? You think, oh, I'm going so slow now there's gonna maybe there's people passing me, but it's really a patience game. So yeah, anyway, totally fun. I like starting in the back. I'll tell you that I've been racing for 19 years of my life. That is 2/3 of my life, and I've run enough laps alone. I think it's so much fun running through a field if I have the opportunity. That's why you might have seen that in your Oval League too. It's just more fun to race with people than it is to spread out. You qualify and then the field in that position sometimes, and that's just not so much fun to me. So a race like, oh my god, I don't even know what to say. I'm so excited. This is so much fun. Beaver's
on fire. I mean, you came away with second place in the overall championship for the Team Goon Squad Cup Series, and then taking that away and coming here and finishing off third from a 27th place starting position. I mean, dude, you're on another level, man. You're doing incredible. So I look forward to seeing more of that going forward throughout the season. Hopefully, we get to see that pace brought back to Laguna next week, or in 2 weeks' time. Yep. But Beaver, whew, I'm gonna let you calm your nerves here a little bit. Grab a cold one to celebrate. But before you do that, anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank before you go?
Well, thank you, Mason, for being here tonight. Coming back to J2I, feels like I talked to you a lot. I think that's great, and it's always so much fun. And then also shout out to my teammate Captain CK. Great top 5 night for Love Seat. With our temporary liveries, we will have something better next time.
I noticed it about like 3/4 of the way in, and I was like, wait a second, does that say temp livery or
test livery? Yeah.
I loved it. I hope it stays on for a good bit. But Beaver, thank you for joining me. Go crack open a cold one, celebrate, enjoy yourself. Congratulations once again. I look forward to seeing you next week at the sprint race.
All right, thanks, Mason. Have a good night.
You as well. Thank you. All right, folks, that's Beaver coming out of the booth with a 3rd place finish, the hard charger of the race. 24 positions that he surpassed to get up into that third place spot. Great job by Nick Beaver. Up next, we have the champion from season number 5 joining us here in the booth, coming away in second place after a phenomenal battle between himself and Dickinson. Tunlo, I don't even have words for what we just witnessed here in the broadcast booth. I wasn't exactly expecting a battle for the lead, but you and Dickinson proved me wrong and then some. I mean, it seemed to me, and you're going to have to kind of clarify this for me a little bit. It seemed to me that this was going to be a 2-stop race, and both you and Dickinson came in lap 59, lap 60, and it just really kind of threw a very interesting wrench in this race here, at least for myself commenting the race. What was kind of the fuel strategy coming into this race for you guys? What was kind of the limiting factor for you guys being able to come away with either a 2-stop race or ultimately a 3-stop race from what we saw here today?
For me, it's a lack of practice. I didn't do a full race distance for practice, so I had no idea. The preseason races seemed like 2 stops wasn't enough. So I just assumed the same, honestly. Sean was saying that he needs to save, but then I was just like, no, I don't need to do that. And so I just decided to come in, he decided to come in, and actually it wasn't going to work out. But apparently, simply Steve's steering wheel messed up right there at the end, because he was still up 3 seconds going into the last lap. Yeah, so he actually probably would have won the race, but yeah, he had technical failure, so that let me and Sean battle for first.
That is interesting. You know, I witnessed that happen, but I wasn't sure if that was just a mistake on his part, but now that I know it was a mechanical issue, wow, that is... Moving on, Tunlo, both you and Sean coming in here tonight, from my knowledge, you guys coming in from Season 5, at least the last time that you guys participated here with J2I, and the last time that you guys fought each other was for the championship, obviously yourself coming away with that championship. How was it coming back here in Season 7 and kind of rekindling that battle here in Race 1?
I really tried. I put in as much effort as I can. I haven't been able to do endurance races lately because I had a second child and it took up a lot of my time, and it does. So this is the first time I had an opportunity to actually get back and try and start racing again. So in the middle of that, Sean just took off with his skill level. He jumped up in iRating and is a lot faster than me now, but it's nice to see that if I put some effort in, I can at least keep it kind of close.
You know what? Kind of close is definitely an understatement. You were definitely giving him a good run there in the end, and I certainly look forward to seeing you more out here. If you do intend on joining more races here in the future, I certainly look forward to seeing that 04 out there and competing some more, because you put on a great show here tonight, and I certainly enjoyed seeing you out there on track. But Tunlo, before you sign off here tonight and crack open a cold one, and I'm sure that you are enjoying the little bit of quiet time that you probably have, given me being a dad as well, I know how it is. So, Tunlo, I won't take up too much more of your time. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to or thank before we go here tonight?
Thanks to my baby for starting to sleep through the night, so I can enjoy doing this, and my wife taking the reins, so if either of my children wake up in the night, she'll let me keep racing.
Oh, that is a statement that I relate with all too well. Tunlo, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight. Congratulations on a phenomenal second place finish. I hope to get to see you back out here in 2 weeks' time as we head to Laguna.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
All right, you have a great one.
You too.
Alrighty, folks, that was Tunlo out of the booth. The 04 Porsche driver taking home that second place spot. And last, and certainly not going to be least here, Mr. Sean Dickinson, the 64 Ford GTE driver, coming away with that big old W. Sean, it was not an easy race here tonight, and especially in the last few laps, at least the last 2 laps of this race, both yourself and Tunlo in a close battle for the lead. Now, both of you had exceptional pace throughout this race. In the the entirety of it, essentially. What was? Did you have any sort of practice before this race? Did you have any sort of, basically, point being, did you have any plans leading up to this race that helped you succeed, or was it pretty much just a arrive and drive kind of situation for you?
Probably spent, because I have Josh and Josh Spears and Noah Anderson and in my little group too. I probably spent about half an hour doing some practice and just fine-tuning his setup. So I don't have the time to be able to do the full hour-and-a-half stint, so I don't know how the tires are going to hold up. And yeah, unfortunately, he made the better choice. He burnt off his front tires, I burnt off my rears, so I couldn't pull any pace out of it at the end. It was a bit rough trying to keep the thing on the track.
Well, Sean, and sorry to kind of cut you off there a little bit at the end, but Sean, coming back from Season 5, I at least to my knowledge, this is the first time that I've seen you on the track since we at Team Goon Squad have started covering the action here at J2Y. What has it been? What's your experience been like coming back here after pretty much a season kind of hiatus and coming back here and rekindling that that fighting spirit that you had with Tunlo just a couple seasons ago?
It's definitely interesting. It's way more low key though compared to the more high-end leagues that I was in before. I was racing GT3s over in the Precision Racing League with the the split size would be about 5,000 I rating. Got a few wins over there, was doing pretty well, got my I rating way up there, and I just decided to take a break from GT3, switch to GTE, and I still wanted to be in a league, but I just wanted to have a little bit of a break, be able to just have some fun and just drive,
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I 100% agree, and I think the J2I league is probably the best way to do that, and I think you found a great a fit for what you're looking for in that regard, and coming here into the first race here at Sonoma and just dominating. I mean, I think that's a great way to kind of kick off your season here. Hopefully we get to see you attend this season for the majority of it if your schedule permits it. But looking forward a couple weeks from now, do you hope to get to attend Laguna Seca?
Yeah, I should be able to make pretty much every race here.
Beautiful.
Not the biggest fan of the track, but
I don't think anyone is.
It's a little bit better than Sonoma. Sonoma was the tricky, to say the least.
Well, and I was kind of talking a little bit about that with Beaver just a little bit ago, talking a little bit how the similarities between Sonoma and Laguna, obviously both being in the same state, it kind of makes some similar terrain, all that nature, but Laguna definitely having, I would say, maybe a little bit more technicality to it, but Sonoma, I would say, it can vary as far as track temperatures and just where all the sand is on the track and everything else. It's yeah, they're both tough tracks in their own regard. But Sean, it's been awesome to get to see you out here tonight. You put on a phenomenal race. Hopefully I get to see that happen again next week or in 2 weeks' time at Laguna. But before I let you go and get to celebrating, anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank before you head out?
Yeah, definitely my team. I'm part of Sim City Racing. They're out of Vegas, so they've been really supportive. They've been letting me kind of just take a break from GT3s and just have some fun again. So got to give a big shout out to them and all the help. So.
Well, Sean, I want to thank you for joining me up here in the booth and congratulate you on a phenomenal win here today at Sonoma. And I hope to get to see you next week or in 2 weeks' time at Laguna. And for now, Sean, thank you for joining us, and we will see you in a couple weeks' time.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you then.
All right, you have a good one.
Bye.
All righty, folks, that was Sean Dickinson out of the booth coming home with the win here today. That is going to wrap up our coverage tonight of race number 1 of the J2Y Endurance Series here at Sonoma Raceway. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight, brought to you by Designers Home Gallery. If you are looking to get a refresher on your home, make your floors look better than ever, check out Designers Home Gallery and see what they can do for you as well as see what they can do for your racing craft here at J2ICS. Head on over to J2ICS.com, join in on the action here, and see what you can do as well here in the J2Y Cup Series. As always, folks, we look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week as we gear up for round number 2 of the Sprint Series. Round number 2 going to be heading to Virginia International Raceway, gearing up for yet another phenomenal race. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next week. Same time, same place.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Let's go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the 1-on-1 up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.